how exactly does Russia's invasion of Ukraine affect the price of oil? Help us to understand this.
Well, you guys were just having the conversation, weren't you? It's pushing up the prices of lots of necessities. We often hear that Russia's a relatively small, large economy, if you like. It's outside the top 10 world economies, particularly when the value of their currency has been much diminished over the last couple of weeks since the invasion because of all the Western sanctions. But when it comes not just to energy, as you were discussing, oil and gas, but also food, all kinds of industrial metals, when it comes to minerals, when it comes to things that we wouldn't ordinarily think about, like fertilizer. Russia is literally a superpower when it comes to exporting all those commodities. It has been since Soviet days. It has been since global trade began, if you like. But even during the Soviet era, oil and gas exports between Russia and the rest of the world, particularly Western Europe, continued. But now, of course, you've got this, well, we have a military conflict between Russia and Ukraine. We have full-on economic war between Russia and the West. We're sanctioning their central bank. They are blocking their own energy exports to us, as we are blocking energy imports from them to us. So when all these vital commodities aren't being traded, then prices inevitably go up. And we're starting now, unfortunately, to see that, not just when we fill up our cars and vans, 100 quid plus now to fill up a family car, looking at petrol, unfortunately, approaching £2 a litre. We're also feeling it when we're buying food and a whole load of other necessities.
It's a worrying time. I know you've got a special programme, haven't you, Liam?
I have indeed, Stephen. So every day is on the money, Monday to Friday. That's at 1 p.m. And today we're going to be talking about the case for fracking, that is using special underground drilling techniques, which are quite controversial here in the UK, to try and unlock more of our own natural oil and gas to make us less dependent on Russian energy. But also this lunchtime, there's a second hour, and we're discussing the cost of war in the round. Now, of course, it goes without saying, the cost of war is greatest to those people in Ukraine who are suffering from this ghastly military invasion, the humanitarian fallout. We see and read about it every day. And the cost to us is nothing like that. We're talking about our shopping. We're talking about our cost of living. But the cost of living implications are very, very important for lots of families, because our more vulnerable families, our lower income families, spend heavily on food, on fuel, on the things that we know are skyrocketing in price. And it's a really important calculation, Stephen, because the more the cost of living squeeze bites here in the UK, in the US, across the European Union, the tougher it is for our politicians to maintain those sanctions on Russia. And that will have an outcome on how Russia acts, and therefore on the military war. So it's not completely indulgent to think about the cost of living crisis here at all, because lots of our families are going to suffer from this, though not from the military fallout. But it's a big part of the political calculation which will dictate to some degree how this war pans out, the interaction between the military conflict, the economic sanctions, the restrictions on trade between Russia and the West, and the knock-on for us and GB News viewers and listeners.